Well, get your one-eyed monster ready. It's Filmshake. I'm Jordan.
And this is Nick.
And this is episode 112 of the 90s Movies Podcast. Nick, what are we doing here today? Are we still a movie podcast, or have we dived into the TV realm?
Like I told you, the Odyssey has an MPAA rating, and it was advertised as the biggest movie of May. So I'm going to say we've stuck with movies here. We did do Night of the Demons 2 several years ago, which was basically straight to video.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you that.
There's a precedent for this. It's not unprecedented. And ironically, that was a request by Doug, who was our guest last episode from Good Times, Great Movies. So Doug actually set this precedent.
Doug set it up. Yeah, he was on the last episode. Looked at the runtime for 1997's The Odyssey and was like, I don't think I'll be back for that, guys. Sorry. This might be a rare occasion where our episode is shorter than the movie itself. We shall see, I suppose.
Oh, man, I'm planning on it. I'm planning on it, Jordan. I'm going to try so hard.
All right.
No pun intended.
Well, if you're here for Matt Damon or Christopher Nolan, you're in the wrong place. This is not the Odyssey that is coming out in 2026. We're talking about 1997's The Odyssey, which was a TV miniseries, but straight to video sort of movie, made into a movie release? Like, what happened with this, Nick? Well, I guess we'll get into that, but first we have to talk. You
just
about
totally
our punishment.
skip a punishment.
Yeah, I'm just so eager,
We'll quickly talk the punishment then that we watched together, and that's Hercules and the Amazon women.
Saturday at noon, he's a real man, and man, he's in real trouble.
Save your breath to scream, Hercules.
Hercules and the Amazon women.
Yes, from 1994, I believe.
That's right. So this, when you talk made-for-TV movie, this is what you think of. You think of Hercules and the Amazon women.
Yeah, definitely. It has TV movie all over it. I want to say, going into this, I was like, I think I might have saw some of these TV movies of Hercules, but they made these before they made the TV show, which I wasn't aware of. When you brought this up, I was like, maybe I saw that, but no, we watched it together on VHS, and I've never seen this before. Apparently, they made 4 of these Hercules adventures before they dived into the full series.
Yeah, that's right. And this show, a shout out to they say middle school now. I always want to just say junior high, and then I'm like, are people going to know what I'm talking about? Does anyone even know what junior high is?
That? Yeah.
Shout out to my junior high girlfriend, Rebecca Polk, who was a big fan of Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Of course, I broke up with her, but being a dick, when I would hear her talk about Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, I would still get jealous of Kevin Sorbo and her love for him, even though I broke up with her, Jordan.
You would still get jealous. You'd see the show on TV and be like, damn, that Rebecca and her crush on Kevin Sorbo. Oh, wait, I broke up with her.
Right. I'd be like, that show's dumb. Everything looks stupid. But to be honest, I finally caught an episode or 2 of it, and I was like, this is pretty fun. This is a good time. I watched this and Xena intermittently.
I remember watching it as a kid. It had this very, like you said, TV, I don't know, bad sets, and I don't know, it wasn't necessarily low quality, but I think even for the times, they just tried to do some stuff with the special effects at times where, even in the mid-90s, you're like, ooh, that looks bad. But it was good-hearted fun. It was just kind of, dumb entertainment, and I don't know, it had a certain kind of kitschy charm to it.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good time, and it was one of those syndicated shows, so a lot of times you could catch this on a weekend night if you were home and just wanted to watch something and chill. So yeah, apologies to Rebecca Polk. A, the way I broke up with you was really rude. I'm sorry about that. B, I'm sorry for disparaging Hercules.
I'm sure she's still listening to you and your podcast years later or whatever.
Maybe she is, Jordan. I'm pretty sure she's still alive.
You never know. If she's alive, she's got to be listening to us.
She was a redhead.
How could she not? Yeah.
You know what's ironic? I always joke around with you that when you act like a huge wimp on the show, I'm like, Jordan, would you just stop? I know you're not really a wimp because I tried to throw you in a bush once and I couldn't. But one time we got in a fight and Rebecca Polk threw me in a bush. She was a fiery redhead.
Oh.
She threw me in that, and that was not a metaphor. She really threw me in a bush. She did, yeah.
That was not a euphemism. Okay.
Yeah, she threw me in a bush. It hurt. I was like, damn. I'm not going to piss her off again.
You couldn't throw me in the bush, but she could throw you in the bush.
That's right.
That's saying something.
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah, we've got Hercules and the Amazon women. Here, interestingly, we have Lucy Lawless not playing Xena the Warrior Princess, but a Amazon woman in a different role. She would go on to star in her spinoff from the Hercules series, which I didn't realize Xena got really popular, like way more popular than Hercules, and like outdid Hercules in all the ratings and just became like, you know, a bigger show, had more of like a cult following apparently, to the point that like Kevin Sorbo was really butthurt about it and would like complain on set. And like they had a thing where they would just spit on the ground on set anytime Xena was mentioned. And yeah, I didn't realize that Xena like outgrew Hercules and that caused like so much, I guess, ego tripping for Kevin Sorbo.
Right, Jordan. I mean, it's like, hey, we're going to show this at like 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. One show's going to have Kevin Sorbo, who, for a TV personality, he's a good TV actor. Yeah. Or we're going to have two hot lesbians. What are you going to go with, Jordan?
Right. What are you going to go with? Yeah. Plus, Xena, I don't know, like, thinking about it, Hercules as a character, you know, he doesn't have any weapons. He's just strong and big and good looking. So like maybe there's an appeal for the ladies or there's appeal for young boys like, oh, let's see these adventures. But like Xena also as a character was like a fresh creation, had like cool weapons. She had the like little, you know, trademark things. I don't know. Yeah. Hot lesbians and with like more interesting characters, I guess, is what sold it.
Yeah, they weren't as beholden to mythology either, right? Because Hercules is a famous mythological character. They could pretty much do what they wanted with Xena, so.
Yeah. I found it like really interesting going into this movie and especially comparing it to the epic of Odysseus, just like the very progressive message and like women forward message that's in this Hercules TV movie, which, you know, I found, you know, it was nice. It was cool to see that. But yeah, it was like a bit shocking too. Like it was like balanced as far as like the gender politics go, but also like, hey, you should respect women. And like this whole village of men is like being overrun by these beasts as they think they are, or at least they say they are to Hercules. And they find out later it's the Amazon women dressed up in these different like animal costumes. It was pretty hilarious as we were watching it, seeing like, oh no, the Amazon women are about to raid the village, but they're really just like going on a sex raid to like dominate these men and have their babies so they can produce more daughters for their clan.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I did find it kind of equal there. You know, it was like, hey, dudes, don't be dicks to your women. Hey, women, don't be murdering bitches.
Right.
Like, don't murder the men.
Yeah, it was kind of refreshing to see like this equal message, like this, you know, this kind of egalitarian point of view of like, hey, like we should just like get along and respect each other and love each other, you know?
That was really 90s, really. You say progressive, but I feel like egalitarian is more 90s than you get now, where it'd just be like, you men are assholes, and the men would all die and the women would just be happy at the end without them. And now at least here you get both together living in harmony at the end.
Yeah. And you've got some interesting tropes along the way. Like you still have like the hot wife of his sidekick who can't cook, and like this whole ongoing gag about how terrible her stew is and stuff. I like how they set it up at the very beginning where we see like two little boys playing with a ball or something, and there's a little girl who's like, let me play, and the boy's like, no, you're a girl, you can't play. And then like you go into Hercules and his sidekick like walking into town, and they're talking about women, and Hercules obviously has this kind of like pig-headed view of women, and why would you ever like marry a woman and settle down, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was interesting how it progressed.
Yeah, it's really weird. As we're having this conversation, I have my notes here, and the website has ads on it. And as soon as I started talking, and I said the phrase "murdering bitches," I'm not making this up. This is true. I would take a screenshot of this if I could. An ad for T Fury, the website T Fury, came up, and the shirt that came up in the ad just said, "I hate women."
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Yeah, they're listening. Bill Gates is listening to me for sure.
He's listening. I'm also reflecting, like, as I'm talking, I'm like talking about Hercules chiding his friend for like settling down to marry and stuff. And I just got engaged this past week. So this is all an interesting collision of themes to watch these films. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. The shirt has "I hate" really large, and then in really small print, "win." Then it has "women" really large. Then it has really little underneath that, "are systematically marginalized and discriminated against." Hashtag feminist.
Hashtag feminist.
That reminds me of the Key and Peele "I Say Bitch" skit.
You said that?
Yeah, I said, bitch. Then I laid it out.
But you said bitch, though. You said bitch.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Oh, one of them tells the other one that every time his wife is acting out of line, he goes, "I say bitch" to her. Like, "Bitch, please." One of them says, "Did you really say it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I said," and they can't say it because they're scared their wives will hear. So they keep getting further and further away from their wives who are inside the house. And by the end of this skit, they're in outer space in spacesuits. And they're still too scared to say it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, what else did you have to say about Hercules and the Amazon women?
I don't have a lot to say. I mean, it's just like a low-budget romp. It's the first one. I didn't find it to be the best of the Hercules stuff I've seen. I did think Roma Downey, as the leader of the Amazon tribe, was very striking. I wish they would have let her use her Irish accent, but she has to use like that fake American accent. Just let her speak the Irish accent. That would have been awesome. I liked her a lot. This is like pre-Touched by an Angel, like sexy Roma Downey with a lot of cleavage, like trying to seduce Hercules, and then they fall in love.
With one like crazy eyebrow sticking up the whole time. I wasn't sure what was going on there, if that was a choice or just like how her face looked at the time.
I don't know. I Googled it and didn't find any results, but Jordan, that eyebrow was working for me.
She was raising your eyebrows, all right.
Yeah, she was. But I mean, it's tragic at the end. She gets possessed by Hera, who is Hercules' mortal enemy because Zeus cheated on her with his mom to make him. So Hera hates him, and she's like a really fake looking Hydra early in the movie that tries to kill him. That's like hilariously fake looking. Like, it's a pretty good time. Sam Raimi.
Right. I had to laugh at like the trailer for the Hercules movies that came on the VHS before we saw the movie, and it was like, "and groundbreaking, new, inspiring special effects," and then they show like the shittiest looking Hydra that looks like worse than PS1 graphics, and you're just like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it looks bad. And it was Hera. So Hera's like the enemy of this entire film. I'm calling it a film, I guess. Yeah. So it was tragic at the end whenever, Roma Downey fell in love with Kevin Sorbo. And she's like, "Nah, I don't want to kill him in now. I just want to bang and like be domestic." And then Hera's like,
I just want to bang and be domestic.
You have to murder Kevin Sorbo. And she's like, "I won't. I love him." And then Hera's like, "No, the hell you do," and then possesses her at the end. That was pretty tragic. There was some tragedy there. I was sad for old Sorbo, because it seemed like him and Roma fell in love in one night. He's like, "I love you," like the next day. So, I mean, he's Hercules. She must have been pretty good in bed, dude. He was like, "I love you. I'm ready to throw my life away from you."
Maybe it was deeper than that, Nick. Maybe he talked to her and he listened to her. Like he taught all the men in the village. He's like, "You better talk and listen to these women. That's your only way to survive. Because otherwise they're coming to kill you."
You know, I do think, like, I'm just being ridiculous, but I do think they do show you how she could fall in love with him and vice versa, because she's very strong and powerful, and she has a very strong will, which I think he's attracted to. And then he could have escaped like a million times after she captures him. And when she realizes that, I think that makes her love him, that he has like all the strength in the world, but like he doesn't use it unless he has to. Like, I think that she liked that. So, I mean, it's ridiculous for them to fall in love that fast, but at the same time, it makes sense. This movie's not horrible.
I like we have some magical elements here. Like at one point, she blows a blue candle out in front of him and he turns into a baby. And then he like watches, you know, at first we're like, oh, is that how the babies end up on the shore in the village? Because they were like, Hercules comes to the village and he's like, why are there no women here? And why are there little babies, and where do the little babies come from, and where are the women? They're like, oh, well, like they took all the women long ago and the babies just show up on the riverbank. And you're like, okay, what's going on there? And then later, once Hercules is captured, she blows the candle out and he turns into a baby. And you're like, oh, I guess that's where the babies come from. But no, Hercules can't stay a baby. So it's more just like a magical way for him to remember his life, like from a baby with like Zeus as his dad, played by Anthony Quinn, who I just think is so ridiculous in this. He's like, oh, I'm Anthony Quinn. I'm a Zeus. It's just like, I don't know, so flamboyantly Italian and like just ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and he gets Lucy Lawless to fall madly in love with him, which the big scene and the big reveal here is the babies are actually the Amazon women's babies, because you have a big raid on the village where you're like, oh, they're about to kill all the men. And then they don't. They just show up and they're like,
take off your clothes. Let's bang. Yes. Give us babies.
Their raids are sex raids, which is it was such a funny twist.
It was a funny twist, yeah. But apparently they just leave the boy babies on the riverbank because they have no use for the boys. They only want the girls. But yeah, this whole system is, you know, flawed from the beginning, and Hercules is like, your women need the men and the men need the women. Like, they should be together. And yeah, he brings them all together in the end with some time travel involved. He uses the magic candle in the end to like go back in time, and he saves Roma Downey from jumping off the cliff when she was possessed by Hera. He saves one of the men who was killed in the battle, who had like a little boy. And then we also didn't really mention his sidekick. What's his name?
Iolaus, his best homie. The one who got married to the really beautiful woman who can't cook.
That's right. He died. He straight up died in like the first battle. So when he goes back in time, he undoes all this stuff and sets things straight. And basically, instead of going on this adventure, all he has to do is tell the villager who showed up at his doorstep, oh, hey, you know, next time you get sex raided, you should like listen to those women and talk to them instead. And that solves all the problems.
And then they won't want to kill you. And then everyone is happily ever after, Jordan, and this movie's over.
That's right. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. I'll give this like a good-natured 5 out of 10. We got Greek food and ate it, like to get into it. Greek food, not the movie.
It held my attention, you know, it was entertaining, it was fun. I don't think I was like checking my watch or looking at my phone, even though I'd have a flip phone now and that wouldn't do me much good. But yeah, I watched the whole thing with you and it was fun. I would give it like a solid 3 out of 5 for a TV movie.
Nice. Yeah, neither one of us even took a bathroom break, and that's saying a lot.
Especially after all that Greek food.
Speaking of Greek, Jordan, are you ready to talk about 1997's The Odyssey?
The greatest adventure of all time is the biggest movie event of May. I conquered Troy! It's loaded, says the Chicago Sun-Times. Exotic, wild, delightful, larger than life, raves People magazine. Awarded the highest rating, a perfect 10 from TV Guide.
And one day, you've seen all the world.
The Odyssey, NBC Sunday.
let's get it on, which is basically what Odysseus says throughout most of this epic.
I'm terrified to talk to you about this. This was like a cornerstone of my 90s. The week that this came out in late May of 1997 was also the same week that season 4 finale of The X-Files came on, and I saw The Fifth Element in the theater for the second time. So I was having quite a time. 1997 is an underrated year in my life, but I loved this. I recorded it. I watched it. I don't know how many times. Close to as many times as I've watched anything that we've covered up to this point. This was like a huge comfort movie for me. Yeah. But, when I got married, which I was married for almost 20 years, I didn't watch it once, ironically. So I watched it 3 times to prep for this episode, not because it was like a duty, but I just wanted to keep watching it. And I just thought man, I hope we don't have a violent disagreement over this movie. We might, and that's fine. That's fine. But I hope we don't. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I have no experience with this, not even tangentially or pop culture wise. I didn't know this existed until you revealed it on the last episode. So yeah, this was totally new to me, was not aware of it. And so, yeah, bought the VHS, watched it over a couple of days. And I would say I'm not going to hate on this or say it's a piece of shit or anything. It was an enjoyable watch. I might have a few quips here and there, but at some of the stuff, but that's probably just more baked into the Homer poem itself,
which I reread for this episode as well in my crazy prep. I also got the Hercules Nintendo 64 game, which I'll review later.
Nice.
But yeah, I read through the Odyssey again because I loved all this stuff in high school, and even in college I loved mythology. I took a few mythology courses I'll talk about later. Well, one of them in particular because it was mythology and film, which was an amazing class.
Well, I'll say this, I never have read the Odyssey. I don't think I ever have even watched a film version of the Odyssey story, but been kind of riffed on so many times and adapted into different things. A lot of the moments are familiar, obviously, the Cyclops and the Sirens and, the Lotus Eaters and all that stuff. And it just made me think of one of my favorite Coen Brother films, and I guess favorite adaptation of this that I can recall is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes, love that movie too. We actually watched that in that class I mentioned, in Kashmir's class. He was a great teacher, and that was one of the most fun courses I took in college when I got my film degree. That movie's very, very enjoyable and a great adaptation of the Odyssey. So it says something that people still have considered this to be the best adaptation of the poem, and may still think that when this year comes to an end.
Yeah, we shall see.
You get a lot of stuff from the Iliad, too, to open this up, which they rush through it because it's not in the actual poem of the Odyssey. You only get really loose details of that stuff. But let's
the fall of Troy and everything?
Yeah, none of that stuff is in the Odyssey. He makes references to it throughout the poem, but you start off with him already missing and already gone.
Oh, okay.
And not even from his perspective, from the perspective back home. But you ready to get into this bad boy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, so 1997 is the Odyssey. After inflation, about $100 million budget. You got Jim Henson's Creature Shop working on the creatures. Written and directed by Ruski Andrei Konchalovsky. Kind of a big deal. Early in his career, he wrote Andrei Rublev, which was a movie that you and I almost covered whenever we weren't going to be a 90s movies podcast for a minute in a strange period of the podcast. The
prehistory, the ancient prehistory of Filmshake.
Yeah, that's right. The mythology of Filmshake. This guy was Tarkovsky's main collaborator back in the 60s and 70s. And then he made a bunch of fun, goofy 90s movies. I always think of Tango and Cash as a 90s movie, but it's actually 89.
Yeah.
But he's the main creative at work here. Armand Assante, he plays Odysseus. He said, "This is the only director I've ever fully trusted that I've ever worked with," which is saying a lot considering some of the people he's worked with.
Yeah.
And you've got just a lot of Greek and Italian actors and crew. Not everyone, but a lot, which I think counts for a good bit of verisimilitude as far as this is supposed to be something that's set in the Greek mythological period, and it feels that way. They worked really hard to get that look right, even with the costumes and the armor. Which I will say, again, I don't even know if I'm going to watch the new movie, but if you just look at that armor, that's not period accurate at all, Jordan.
It's definitely a higher budget, bigger budget than Hercules can even touch. I would say there is still like somewhat of a TV movie quality to it. I don't know if you would strongly disagree, but I don't know. Like, and it could be that I watched it on VHS, so you're losing some of that production value just by the nature of the format. But I mean, it still has some of that vibe, but obviously just like on a bigger scale. Because yeah, a lot of the locations are really awesome. Yeah, a lot of the effects are cool for the time. Obviously, like a lot went into it, but I don't know. There's like a veneer of TV movie to it that I feel like I can't quite look past or shake.
How dare you, you bastard.
Not that that's like necessarily to its detriment or anything. That was just like the vibe that I was getting watching it on VHS. And again, I'm curious like if that would be different watching it in high definition or if like I would just see more of that. But that's where my head went. It's just like, oh, this is like a TV miniseries.
I will say in 2006, I just like layered a bunch of bad decisions on top of one another. And one of those decisions was that I threw out my VHS, apparently, of the Odyssey. So I had to go buy the DVD for this. And the DVD, I did watch it on a smaller CRT, but it looked fantastic, Jordan. It looked like a feature film. Besides the aspect ratio, everything looked crisp and great. There was a film grain. It was fantastic. This was shot on 35 millimeter. So
nice.
I don't know. To me, I mean, comparatively, if you compared to Hercules that we just talked about, it's like a night and day difference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a better quality than that.
Right. And if I compare this to like a lot of movies that I've seen in the last decade, this, to me, looks better than those. I'm saying comparatively.
Yeah.
I think that this looks pretty damn good. And I think the writing and the dialogue and some of the star presences here, to me, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a TV production at all. And I first watched it on TV, Jordan. My original tape has all the commercials.
Nice. That had been like a 6-hour long tape.
I think it was 4 hours exactly. I think it was split over 2 nights. It was a Sunday and a Monday night in 1997.
Split over multiple nights. That is wild. I mean, I guess that's how they would do it with a miniseries anyway. So I guess that's not uncommon, but
18th and 19th of 1997, Jordan.
Love you remembering the dates.
That was a great week. Great week.
That's hilarious.
Right. So I have read this twice, and a lot of times whenever we cover stuff that is an adaptation of something, I'm like a huge jerk about it. I'm like, no, Jordan, the book. I'm going to really try to not do that here at all.
Yeah.
I think that the spirit of the book, or the poem, I should say, is really in this film to a high degree. But there are definitely some changes as well, just because this could have been like 18 or 19 hours long.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are combined. Some things are cut out. For the most part, I like what they did. There's nothing that they changed from the book where I'm like, well, that was stupid. Why'd they do that? I can understand the changes, and I'm not really going to point them out.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it.
That works for me.
Okay, sweet.
I'm glad you're in that zone.
All right. Well, I guess that's enough for setup, Jordan. You got Armand Assante here as Odysseus. What'd you think of old Armand?
I thought he did a good job. I felt like he carried the film. You know, he had a strong presence. It was just easy to follow him. There was, and maybe it just goes back to character too, because like a lot of his crewmates, at least at one point, are like kind of bumbling around like foolish children. And he's like the one kind of just like strong, stoic presence, you know, to like keep things together at times. I think he stands out in that way, just like being a strong character. But yeah, I think Armand did a good job with the character as well and gave it his all.
Yeah, Athena actually points out in this that he surrounds himself with men like that on purpose because it makes him look better. So that actually gets called out.
So yeah, it was doing a good work for me in that respect.
Right, I
didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Yes, and Athena, the goddess of wisdom and many other things, this adaptation definitely gives the gods their due. I've heard the new one doesn't have them, and the tagline for it is defy the gods, which is funny because the tagline for this version could be don't defy the gods.
Right.
Whatever you do.
That seems to be the overall message, right? It's like, okay, we get into the war with Troy and how he tricks him with the Trojan horse, and, you know, he sets Troy on fire and he conquers Troy like no man could have ever done. And then he's out on the rocks kind of yelling at the gods like, look at me, I'm just a mere mortal, but I did this all myself. I don't need gods. And then, like, that's the big no. Like, oh, no, don't do that. Now Poseidon's going to curse you and you'll never be able to go home. And so, yeah, like, by the end of it, he's just like, oh, I am just a man. And the gods, you know, you should fear. So, yeah, the whole defy the gods thing seems kind of counterintuitive to, like, the whole message that we get here.
Right. To the whole message of the actual poem. So that should be interesting. Again, I don't know if I'm going to watch it. Maybe I will. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we open up with the birth of Odysseus' son, Telemachus. So he's running across the Greek countryside. This is just a great way to show you the world that Odysseus has built. He runs to his wife Penelope and lifts her up and takes her to a safe place, basically to, like, where the overhang where, like, the sheep go when it's raining. But you get, like, the camera moving through the whole area of the island that belongs to him so that you see his whole world, which is important because that's what's going to be attempted to be taken from him later.
And which he says multiple times, like, talks about my world. You tried to take my world.
Yeah, which means a lot. I really connected to that. Just, like, growing up like the son of a farmer and, like, living on farmland and dealing with trespassers who were, like, stealing our crops and things like that and just getting pissed off. Like, I could really connect to that as far as my general rage and bloodlust, Jordan. So I really connected to this character a lot. You gotta tell me this. So this tracking shot that goes through, it's like a one take through all of the island. It's pretty impressive and very unobtrusive. You barely even notice that it's happening. And then once Telemachus, his son, is born, the camera just revolves around him and it shows you, like, his world in the entirety and the beauty of Ithaca and the islands around it. That was pretty impressive, right? Like, didn't that look pretty damn good?
Yeah, like you said, I don't think I even realized that was a one take until you mentioned it here. It's a very eye-grabbing opening, for sure.
Yes, and then unfortunately, Agamemnon and Menelaus, who are two dudes with gnarly beards. Menelaus is played by Lancelot from Excalibur, Jordan. Did you notice that?
I did not. I did notice the gnarly beards, because this is just like a movie filled with beards, pretty much, in varying degrees.
Yeah, that's right. And you and I both have gnarly beards right now, so.
That's right. In prep for this episode, I had to grow out the gnarly.
Nicholas Clay Lancelot as Menelaus here, but they really go through this part quick because the Odyssey isn't about the Battle of Troy, the 10-year battle. That's not really what is even in the poem, but they've got to give it to you to show you where he is. They can't just skip that for, like, a film production. So you go through this very quickly. I love his mom telling him to turn Troy to dust as he has to leave.
Yeah, his mom played by Isabella Rossellini.
Incorrect. His mom is played by Irene Pappas, who's a very famous Greek actress, a very storied Greek actress. And she was in a lot of movies I watched for that class where she's amazing.
Who's Rossellini in this?
She's Athena, the goddess Athena.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. Did you just have a stroke? What just happened? Did you think that was his mom the whole time?
No, I just thought that the actress playing his mom was Rossellini, but I had that wrong.
You had that very wrong.
Very, very wrong.
This is an elderly actress who was almost 70 years old at the time of filming, Irene Pappas, who's really great in Iphigenia and my favorite performance of hers in Elektra, in the starring role from 1962, which is a Michael Kakianis film. I haven't seen her in a long time, but man, she kicked ass in that. She's old here. She's his mom, and she tells him to turn Troy to dust as he has to leave.
I don't know. I guess my remembrance of Rossellini was like, oh, she was like in Blue Velvet in the 80s, right? She's got to be pretty old in the 90s, but not that old.
What the hell is happening? I'm so confused right now.
Anyway, carry on.
What is happening? Yes, Rossellini plays Athena, who's the goddess Athena that we've already talked about and even mentioned that earlier. In this episode, before Jordan said that she was playing his mother for some reason, But he has to leave, and he's pissed, right? He's got to go to war on the day his son was born and leave his wife that he says, look, if, like, I don't come back, like, move on. I want you to move on and live a happy life.
You gotta move. You gotta wait until a beard is on your son's face. So again, with the beards, it's all about the beards.
Yeah.
You gotta wait till he has a beard.
Yeah, and you see, like, the sensitivity he has toward his wife, like when he comforts her when she's giving birth, and he's like, hold me in your eyes, give me the pain. But yeah, he says, you must allow me to die inside you. Those are his exact words he says to her.
Very poetic.
Yes, but then he leaves, he goes and fights to Troy. I do think if there's anything in the movie where you're like, all right, that was a TV series and not like a feature film, it's Troy is very truncated. You get the whole 10 years in about 5 to 6 minutes. It's not like you're watching the movie Troy from 2004. It's pretty bare bones battle stuff. I mean, it's fun. I don't hate it or anything, but it's definitely like the movie's like, let's go. We got to get through this.
Let's get this over with. This isn't what we're here for. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Achilles and Hector, they don't have a giant battle. Like, Hector just challenges Achilles, and then Achilles throws a spear through him and ties him to his chariot and drags him across the cliffside. And then you get a gnarly zoom out of this cliff and him being this tiny speck on it dragging Hector. And then he dies. They're like, oh man, this is never going to end. What side are the gods on? And then you get the famous Trojan horse, which I thought looked pretty good. There's a making of this that I've watched where the craftsmen were like, yeah, we tried to make it look like it came from old ship parts. And it does look like that.
Yeah, it almost looked like the way they built it was like too big to go through the archway of Troy. It's like, oh, damn it, we made this too big. But they just cut away from that. Like, you don't see it going like under archway. It's just like inside Troy later on. And then I do like, it's classic, it's famous, but them hiding in the horse, you get the like shots inside the horse where they're kind of like trying to be quiet and listening to what's going on. Also, before they get wheeled inside, you've got the gnarly like Poseidon sea serpent thing like killing their soothsayer and just like flailing him around in the background, which was pretty fun.
That's right. Yeah, that gods do pick a side, and Poseidon, who's actually kind of Athena's like low-key enemy, he surprisingly picks Odysseus' side and helps him here by killing the prophet that said not to bring the horse inside. And Odysseus doesn't give him any credit for it. They sack Troy, and then he goes to this beautiful cliffside with all these beautiful like rock formations rising out of the sea and the ocean crashing. And he has his defy the gods moment where he's like, I did this. I'm awesome. I don't need anyone's help. I'm the best. And then you get the mummy type special effect of Poseidon talking as like the waves crashing, where it's like the Mummy Returns special effects 4 years before that movie with the big mouth of Poseidon being like, oh, you're screwed now, buddy. Like, I'm cursing you. You're never going to get home. You're going to be on the seas forever.
Basically, Pride Before the Fall.
That's right. And then you get all the adventures that are to come, Jordan.
Yeah. Speaking of our first adventure with our one-eyed monster friend, when they go and go to the land of the Cyclops.
Yeah, that's right. They go to the Cyclops, and he bites off one of their buddies' heads. They go and it's funny. It's kind of like what the suitors do later on, where they go to Odysseus' house and eat all his food. They go to this dude's house, this dude being the Cyclops.
The Cyclops. This dude Cyclops.
Yeah, Polyphemus. They're like, man, that's a really big door with a big rock. But let's eat all this food and drink this wine and chill. And then Polyphemus shows back up and he's like, hey, what are you? And he's pretty dumb. He's a dumb Cyclops. And he ends up being like, well, what do you taste like? And he bites off one of their heads and he's got blood all over his face. He's like a big Jim Henson creation where it's like a dude wearing a big like animatronic mask. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun in that Jim Henson Muppet kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure. And they have to eventually get him drunk on wine and blind him. And Odysseus, using his brains before, tells him that his name is Nobody. And since the Cyclops is really dumb, he's just like, okay, cool, that's your name. So after he gets blinded, he starts yelling out to the other Cyclopses. And he's like, nobody has blinded me. Nobody has hurt me.
I do like how Odysseus is like, if you kill me, then you will lose all the magic that's inside my brain. And then he's like, oh, let me show you my magic. And he gives him the wine. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes. And this is the thing that sets things off in the poem. You don't really have the scene of Odysseus like defying the gods in the cliff. It's just that the Cyclops happens to be one of Poseidon's sons, which he is here too. But him killing Poseidon's son or not killing him, but blinding him. And Polyphemus yells out like, "Father, avenge me," which is already happening and about to get worse. And then Odysseus does it again. He gets back to his ship and he's like, "You couldn't get me. I'm the badass, most awesomest dude ever. My name is Odysseus, not nobody." And I love that Cyclops chucking a rock at him where it's like, man, don't speak too fast.
Right. So in the poem, this is like the kind of catalyst for Poseidon cursing him.
Right. Yeah. He blinded his son.
We should have had more eyes, bro.
Yeah. Don't just have one eye then, and don't eat my homies.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And he eats the flute guy who's been playing music at key moments, but is gonna come back in a key moment later. But he eats poor flute guy.
The one-eyed monster eats the flute guy.
Yeah, what's up with that?
What's up with that euphemism?
He actually played the music, which I've had stuck in my head for almost 30 years. Next will be the 30th anniversary of this, and I was going to save it for then. But we had this new movie coming out. I thought, let's strike while the iron is hot and piss off all the people who listen thinking that we're covering that movie when we're really covering this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had been playing a song to make the Cyclops fall asleep, and now he gets eaten by him. But they get away. You do have a few things that are cut from the poem, like the sirens. That would have been cool, but it also would have made this like 10 to 15 minutes longer. If you're going to cut something, that makes sense.
It's also like pretty similar to, which is like another female trap that he gets stuck in for a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Which is something that comes a little later, but not that much later, because they go to this other island and he goes to this waterfall and tries to get some water, and the water starts moving around. And you find out it's Aeolus, who is like, "I'm the god of the wind." What'd you think about this actor, by the way, who's playing him? He's a character.
This was like in a very serious and straightforward adaptation so far. This guy felt like he was in a Mel Brooks production, like History of the World or something, where he's just like, "Hey, I'm Gambling Joe, but I'm really the god of air." I don't know. He was so wacky. It didn't quite fit the film, but it was, pardon the pun, kind of a breath of fresh air in a way to have something different going on.
I liked it because you do have like multiple goofy touches in there, which I think you need. Like this needs that. It shouldn't be deadly serious. It's Michael J. Pollard is the actor here, which he usually played characters like this throughout his career, maybe a little skeevier sometimes, but a lot of fun here. And then Odysseus, he's got the wind, like every wind except the one he needs, bottled up in this big sack. And Aeolus blows on the sail of the ship, and they almost get home. They're almost there.
What was the point of the air god putting wind in his bag and being like, "You can't open it till you get home"?
Because it's all the other winds. He is just giving him the wind that will take him home, like when he blows in the sails.
Yeah.
So it's all the other winds have been neutralized, but the one that he needs.
Oh, I see. He's like neutralizing that, and then he's blowing on his sail so he can get home.
Yes. Jordan, I need to check too. You do know that Aeolus is not Odysseus' mom, right?
That's right. He had a beard.
Turn Troy to dust. Return with the spoils of enemies you've slain.
I'm distinguishing beard, no mom. That's how I figured that out.
Oh, that's not always going to work, but it'll work like at least half the time.
I mean, I guess if his mom was like a bearded lady in a circus, that wouldn't work so well.
So they get blown away, right, when they're almost home. And they get sent to Circe's island, and you get some more fun silliness here. They look for food, and Odysseus is pissed. Like, it's his little homie, like, I'm not going to try to say all these Greek names. The guy that's like his best homie.
The red-haired curly dude? Yeah.
Not the red-haired curly dude. That's not his best homie. His best homie is like the dude with dark hair, who's always like hugging him and crying and being like, "Please don't go."
That dude. Yeah.
The red-haired guy and him have some animosity here because he's like, "I'm going to go kill something and share it with my brothers." He goes off with a group of the men and they don't come back. And then a pig comes back, Jordan. A really feisty, angry pig.
Yeah, this is like, I'm trying to equate all these moments to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So this is where they thought, we thought you was a toad. This is like where we're at in that movie, right?
Yeah. The thing is, this really is one of his men. He's been turned into a pig, and Odysseus ends up having to climb this cliff. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Just the verisimilitude of him climbing this cliff. It looks amazing. It looks like he's in the Greek Isles, which they shot this all in the Mediterranean on location. So it looks amazing. He's climbing, and I love here that they're like, you know what, this is silly, but like, this is what happens. So we're going to show it. Hermes, who's the messenger god, he comes, this really campy looking like British actor that's like all golded up when, you know, like nearly nude. He's got like a little loincloth on, and he's got like this Ewan McGregor type voice. And he's like, hello, Odysseus, you know, hello there. Like he just pops up.
It's super campy. It definitely made me chuckle, just like how ridiculous this looked. Again, maybe another lighthearted touch that this needed, just to kind of like, oh, this is weird. Let me keep watching, see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And he gives him the little root to eat that's going to help him later on. But I love the visual of him flying away as Odysseus. You can see on the DVD, like all the sweat pouring off Armand DeSantis as he's hanging onto this cliff for dear life. I just love that visual of Hermes flying off. It's kind of whimsical and atmospheric. I dig it. And he gets up there. There are all these animals, and Bernadette Peters is up there, Jordan. Did you know that she posed for Playboy in the month of my birth, December 1981? It was a non-nude spread.
How many podcast episodes now have you just named like the exact month and year of a Playboy Playmate that happened to be in a movie that we were talking about?
It's kind of wild how many Playmates are in the movies we cover. That's not intentional. Kind of crazy.
Not intentional at all. Wait, so this wasn't Odysseus's mom?
This was not. Thank God it's not his mom. We're not going into any Oedipus stuff in this.
It's not an Oedipus story. Yeah.
No, this is Circe, who has turned all his men into different animals, and he gets up there. I love how Hermes tells him before. Like, I don't know. I just really like the guy playing Hermes' performance, which is campy, but I feel like it's like perfectly campy as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Freddie Douglass is Hermes. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry, but I really dig it. And I like how he says in that hello there, Ewan McGregor voice, that whenever you don't turn into an animal after you drink her special honey wine, she's going to make you an offer to take her to bed. And I love how he says,
You cannot refuse a goddess.
Yeah.
He goes up there, he drinks the wine, he does not turn into an animal, and Bernadette Peters immediately falls on her knees between his legs and is like, hey, baby, we gotta get her on now.
We have to get it on because you have not turned into an animal.
Yes, she's very impressed by him. And she takes him into a room, and they get it on, and all his people turn back into themselves. And then you get a conflation here of the lotus eaters, where they're getting fed lotus flowers, and just, they're all having sexy time with the Circe ladies, and Odysseus is having sexy time.
I must take one for the team, boys. Like, what a terrible, treacherous journey I have been on. I must have sex with this woman to save my crew and to save myself. Like, oh, woe is me.
I guess I'll have sex with Playboy Playmate from December of 1981 for 5 straight years, which he finds out he thinks he was there for 5 days. And she's like, nah, it's actually been 5 years. Ha!
Which is funny. Like, I watched like the first part of this on my own and then watched the second part with Michelle, like when we were back at the trailer. Just watching this with her and like a woman's perspective of like, oh yeah, of course a man wrote this, for like, you know, you have to go this treacherous journey of sleeping with all these like random goddesses, you know, to save yourself, and then get back home to your wife and you're like, let me make sure she has been true to me.
Well, he means her heart, not her vagina. He means her heart, Jordan.
Sure. Yeah, so he would have been totally cool if she was just like banging all these suitors just to like pass the time.
Hey, Hermes spelled that out for you, and I guess Michelle missed when he said that. You cannot refuse a goddess. You can't, Jordan.
Well, I know it's written in there like, oh, he has to do it, but like, of course, a man would write that in there, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I also found that pretty funny.
Well, she does call him out on it too, where he's like, how could you let me stay here for 5 years? And she's like, even if you thought it was just 5 nights, like, you could have left after we had sex once and you hung around. And he's like, damn it, Odysseus is flawed here. So I did enjoy that. And I love when she's like, if you don't believe me, go look at your ship. And he goes down and the ship is just covered with rocks that have come in from the tide, which is a pretty cool visual.
Yeah, and he starts trying to dig him out with his sword. And then I found that scene a little silly where he just like starts stabbing the rocks over and over again with his sword. He's just like, damn it. I'm stuck here.
Well, he's just pissed that he lost 5 years because of his own stupidity. He's lost 5 more years that he could have been with his wife and his son. So he's angry with himself as well. And he gets all the men. He goes and yells at them. He's like, we got to get out of here now.
Wait, and then it cuts like they're back on the sea, right? Like they have escaped.
Right.
How did they get that ship seaworthy again? Like, I don't understand.
Well, there's a lot of timber on this island. They had to dig all the rocks out and repair the ship. So it wasn't a quick process. I mean, he is gone for 10 full years in totality. You got to think some of that time was him having to fix his ship.
Oh, I thought it was longer than 10 years. Like by the time he gets home, it's like 16 years or something.
It's actually, it's 10 in Troy, I believe, and 10 on the Odyssey.
Oh, okay. So yeah, 20 years.
Yeah. And
crazy.
Also, you get some horny scenes back home where, like, his wife goes out to the ocean and she, like, spreads her legs to the sea and basically has, like a sea orgasm while thinking of Odysseus.
Was she, like, masturbating with the ocean? Like, I wasn't sure what was going on.
How did you think this was very TV-esque, Jordan? That's not going to be on TV. I mean, it was, but...
Well, yeah, then you got the mom, not Isabella Rossellini, but the 70-year-old mom.
Pappas that you've like besmirched her name by trying to erase it, and you're like, I'm so progressive. A man definitely wrote this. I mean, I can't even visually tell the difference between Isabella Rossellini and Irene Pappas, but
they're both dark-haired women.
You son of a bitch.
But yeah, the mom's watching Penelope out at the shore, like masturbating with the waves. I don't know what's going on. I was like, well, what is that about? I guess she's feeling connected to Odysseus because he's also in the ocean and she's longing for him. But yeah.
She just can't take it anymore. So the mom eventually, like a little while later, walks into the sea and kills herself. And you get a really emotional scene where Penelope being Odysseus' wife, she's like, don't do it. And the mom's like, nah, I want to die.
How's Penelope going to masturbate with the waves anymore when she's like, oh man, my mother-in-law died right there.
Yeah, I got to walk further down the beach.
I got to find some other way.
Bad vibes right here. And no pun intended there either. I will say that, like, getting serious for a brief moment, her screaming as her mother-in-law kills herself, and then the hard cut to the chair where her mom was waiting, like, being empty, is like a really beautiful shot of the light coming through the window in the chair. And then hard cut to Odysseus in the bed with Circe. It's like really affecting, in my opinion. I think that this film is really well edited, and I like the transition there where it's like they're going through hell right now, and he's just like in bed all oiled up with Bernadette Peters, which you're supposed to feel that, Jordan. So
right. Well, yeah, I guess good on the filmmaker's part to point that out. While your women are over here dying and wailing, he's just like getting it on.
Right. They don't let him off the hook here. And I do think in a way that this is important.
I think by the end of the movie, they let him off the hook, but okay.
Well, I do think this is important too, in that he kind of learns his lesson from this, because he has a similar encounter where his attitude about it is a lot different later on that we'll get into. But not that much longer.
It's a similar encounter where he just beds another woman and stays with her for a long time.
That one is a lot different, and I'll explain how when we get to it, which will be shortly, since we don't want this episode to be as long as the actual film is. Yeah, so she gives him really bad news. He's got to go to hell, Jordan. He's got to go to Hades and talk to the blind prophet, Tiresias, who's played by Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, yeah. He's top-notch in this. He's really cool in that one scene where he's talking to him in hell.
Right. And again, the cast here, I think it's really killer. And all of them said, I really wanted to work with Andrei Konchalovsky. Like, he was a legend to us, and they all wanted to work with him. So that's, I'm assuming, what also got Christopher Lee into this.
There were some moments around this where I was just like, and forgive me, when she's wailing on the beach after the mother drowns herself, it feels like really over the top and campy, where she just like looks into the camera almost and just starts screaming. I kind of laughed at that. And there's just the Hermes stuff and like all the kind of goofy stuff. But then when we get into hell and there's Christopher Lee, and even in like before we get to Christopher Lee with like the ghostly images and the souls in hell and stuff, like all that stuff looked pretty legit. And then I feel like Christopher Lee just like injected some legitimacy back into this thing where I'm like, oh damn, like I'm taking him seriously. Everything he says like has a gravitas to it.
Well, that's what I like about this is it hits that mythological tone, which mythology is weird and goofy sometimes, but also very serious. And I like that the tone doesn't go off a cliff here, but you get both of those things.
Yeah, that is cool. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. A lot of people do, Jordan. That's why this is so beloved.
This is why this is so beloved, this thing I've never heard of. I feel like a lot of people have never heard of.
I don't know, man. Look at the IMDb score. See how many people voted and see how high it is compared to a lot of the other stuff we've watched. This is a pretty beloved version of this. And as soon as they go into the cliff, which again, in the poem, this is a little different. It's basically like burned out lands. They don't go into a cave like this. But the visuals of the ship going into the fiery cave that leads to hell are pretty spectacular. And I do love how serious it is. Like, all the men are like hugging him and like, don't go, man. Like, I'm scared. Like, everyone's terrified.
That was like the last moment before we get into some more like serious stuff that struck me a little goofy, where they're all just like, he's standing on the ship and they're all just like hugging him. And I don't know, like they're just little foolish children. Like, don't leave us, master. I don't know. I just found that a little campy too.
It kind of is, but I dig it. Like, I love how like his main homie is like, your soul is gonna get burned away. Like, this is serious, man. And he's sobbing. I mean, it is kind of campy, but I don't know. To me, it was just right. Like, I would rather it be that way than be like overly serious, or like just totally goofy and campy. For me, it hits the line that it needs to, where it's kind of goofy, but it's also kind of serious. And I feel like both those things, they're both abiding together.
Yeah. I guess I could have done with like just some solemn face, like stoicism from the men as he walks off, but they're all like blubbering and like bundled like in a big heap around him. And it just looks so ridiculous.
That's one thing with this director. Konchalovsky was like, I like big emotion. Like, one thing I want to bring to this is very big emotion. And even in that scene on the beach that you were talking about, it is over the top. But when you watch the making of, he's like going ham. He's a very hands-on director, and she does it, and he's like, no, not big enough, like this. And he's like, the veins are like bulging out of his head as he's like mimicking the crying he wants her to do.
You must show all emotion.
Yeah, and Greta Scacchi, who plays Penelope, she's like, yeah, I pretty much come to set now with like no idea of how I'm going to play out the role, because I do, and I have preconceived notions. And he's just like, no, do it exactly like this. Exactly like I say. But yeah, all that big emotion is him. I dug it. I mean, it works for me. I feel like it works for the material.
So where do we go after Christopher Lee?
Well, yeah, he goes down to hell. And he gets the most horrible news, which is basically like, hey, you're all going to die. Because he tells them that the only way home is to sail through Scylla and Charybdis, which basically it's like this many-headed dragon monster and then this gigantic, monstrous whirlpool. And
kind of like a Hydra.
Right. And he's like broken by this news. Like, he can barely crawl back up the steps by this fiery river.
Yeah, while Christopher Lee is just like laughing his ass off, right?
Yeah, just like doing his best Christopher Lee cackle.
Yeah.
And he was led to Christopher Lee. By the way, all the ghosts are approaching him and like trying to like rip at him. And then he sees Flute Dude, who is down there in Hades, which he died because the Cyclops killed him. So it's a shock to see him. But then he's like, take me to Tiresias. So Flute Dude is taking him down there. But now he's like, his spirit is totally broken. He can't even walk.
Isabella Rossellini, his mom, is down there too.
No, it's definitely Irene Pappas in her final scene in the movie. And he's like, wait, Mom, what the hell are you doing down here? You're supposed to be alive. And she's not alive because she killed herself over grief.
It's like, I tried to jack off with the waves, but they took me. I just couldn't pull it off like Penelope.
I thought you were getting Penelope and her confused now. Again, you're like...
No, she was trying to do what... Never mind.
Yeah. No, I thought you were like, I'm so progressive. All women are just one woman to me. They're interchangeable.
They're interchangeable. Dark hair, light hair, doesn't matter.
Woman's a woman. It's all pink.
Sorry, Michelle, if you're listening to this.
He doesn't really feel that way.
That's right.
Yeah, so he sees his mom, and that breaks his spirit even more, and he gets back to the ship, and he's just, like, dead. They have to haul him back on board. Everybody seems pretty glum. And then you get the big effects set piece here, where they have to go to the cave where Scylla is, and then they have to go down. Well, what did you think about this, Jordan, before I just dissect the whole thing?
I like the one dude, so they're being attacked by this many-headed serpent dragon thing in the caves. And like the one dude is just like, bring it! Like, I'll take it! I'll kill this thing! And then he just gets eaten, like, blood everywhere. And this thing is so fast, it just snatches him up. Like, you can't even barely see it.
Yes, and I love that Jim Henson effects here, where it's like partially CGI and partially practical, where it's just like this slimy, like they went for like a Venus flytrap look for all of its heads, but it's just like raining blood down everywhere as it's snapping people up. I love the one dude that's like, holy shit, this is cool. But then he's like, oh wait, I'm gonna die. Because it is cool. Like, that's a hell of a way to go, Jordan.
Yeah. Wait, is that the same guy who's like, bring it? Like, I'll kill this thing?
No, it was a different guy. It wasn't him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't really matter because all the guys that we've watched throughout this movie besides Odysseus are about to die because you get basically like dual action scenes here where Scylla eats through a few of them and they get past it. There's like a pretty badass moment where Odysseus throws his torch at it and it's like a really cool looking torch throw. And then immediately once they're past it, the river that goes through like the dark cave in this island comes out on the other side and Charybdis is down there, and it's like this giant toothed, massive, like Sarlacc from Return to the Jedi that's like sucking in all the water and sucking their ship in. And I think it looks great. I think the effects team crushes part. The ship goes off the cliff. Basically everybody dies, but Odysseus and red-haired dude and Odysseus' best homie, they're like clinging onto him until Charybdis shuts and shoots a big spout of water up, which takes down everybody, and only Odysseus survives. What did you think about how that looked?
Pretty gnarly. I like. Yeah, it's basically like them going off a giant waterfall cliff, and then by the way, there's a giant ass like Sarlacc monster in the water down below too. It's cool how they hang on to like the vines right above the cliff opening, and yeah, the water spout knocks the other guys down. He's the only one left. And yeah, he's just screwed now. You're just like, what is he going to do? He's got no ship. He's got no men. How's he going to get home?
Yeah, and this is a cinematic change that I like compared to the poem. Where in the poem, they actually get by Charybdis at first, and then they get to this island, and there are all these cows. They're Helios' cows, and they're told, don't eat the cows no matter what you do. And of course, as soon as Odysseus goes off, they do eat the cows. And then when they leave, Zeus basically smashes their ship, and then the wreckage gets sucked into Charybdis, and Odysseus is the only one who lives. And that's just like a lot of stuff there. So I don't mind the streamlining here at all. It's pretty
Yeah,
well
I
done.
could see how that would make sense just to streamline it here.
Yeah. And then Jordan, he washes up on an island. The shots of this island are so visually stunning right when you see it. It reminded me of like some of the trippier stuff Ingmar Bergman did where he looks and there's like, it's just like this white island with these weird, it's a real place, I think in Turkey maybe, but these weird like basins with water in it. And you've got Vanessa Williams standing at the very top of them. And then all these maidens standing on the other ones. Gnarly looking shots.
Another treacherous moment of just like, all these women have to fuck now.
Well, I love how they're like all giggling as he's washed up, and he's like progressively been losing clothing throughout the film. So he's basically like wearing a loincloth now.
Coincidentally enough.
Yeah, but his instinct is not like, oh, sweet, I get to bang all of you. He's like, I need a ship. I got to get back home. Like, I need a ship now. And then Calypso, who's played by Vanessa Williams, who looks great. Like, she looks like and acts like Calypso, but doesn't look like the way she's described in the poem.
Wait, that wasn't Isabella Rossellini?
It wasn't. It was supposed to be fair-haired Calypso. She's not so fair-haired here, but she's played, I think, perfectly by Vanessa Williams, who's basically just like, she says what her name is. She's like, I am Calypso, and drops her robe. And
right.
It's a really attractive Vanessa Williams. And again, he's not like, I'm going to bone you now. He goes and sleeps, and then he's having these horrible nightmares where he's like crying out in his sleep. And, you know, he's trapped there against his will. You could argue that she basically rapes him for several years because, like, he can't leave and she won't let him leave. But every chance he gets, he tries to escape. Like, he sees a ship at one point, and it's a topless Vanessa Williams that he's talking to when he's in, like, a bathing pool. And as soon as he sees the ship, he's like, forget you! I want to get out of here! And he, like, runs down to the ship, and she's like, you can't leave.
I feel like the vibe is more like, well, if I must.
I think that you're supposed to get in the Cersei scenes that like he screwed up. His lust won out there, and he lost time, and that wasn't what was important, and he screwed up. He made a mistake. Here, I really do feel like he's trapped against his will, and he tries to take every opportunity to get away that he can. You always get the sense.
Every opportunity? Like, at one point, he's just like drinking and dancing and like seems like he's having a good time.
Well, he's been there for years. Like, you get from the narration that he's trying to make the best of things, which I do love.
Trying to make the best of things. You gotta just screw all these ladies.
He's not that. Like, where did you get that he was screwing all these ladies? Those are like
Calypso, at least. Like,
yeah, those are Calypso's versions.
She basically becomes his lover, and you feel like, it's somewhat mutual, at least. I don't know.
Who's you?
You,
I don't feel that way, and I'm you in a conversation where there are two of us.
You're like Jordan. I'm Nicholas.
It's Vanessa Williams, and she's very attractive. So it's not like having sex with her is the worst thing on earth, but I feel like the movie makes it clear that he wants to leave.
Okay.
Because, again, like, every single chance that he gets, he tries to get out of there. And Hermes shows up eventually and is like, hey, Calypso, you gotta let him go. Let him go now. And the second that she's like, hey, you can he's like, get out of here? Hell yeah. And he does. So, and dude, okay, like, this invalidates your argument. She's like, guess what? I'm going to offer you immortality. You can stay on this island and never grow old and bang me forever. And he's like, no, I'd rather grow old with Penelope. Peace out.
Yeah, I know. I'm just laughing at the convention of, like, again, maybe it's baked into the poem itself, or just, the idea of like, oh, this treacherous journey I must go on, and it just got stuck in these hairy situations where I had to beg these beautiful women. Like, woe is me.
It's just two, and they're both goddesses. And you can't say no to a goddess, Jordan. But he does.
Can't say no to goddess, but he does.
Yeah, he does. But it's, you know what? He had a god who was saying he should leave. Funnily enough, both situations where he's involved with goddesses, Hermes makes an appearance. But yeah, he gets out of there. He gets a ship. He goes to another island. If you were reading the poem, then we get like 2 hours of him trying to get home after this. But thankfully, they streamlined that pretty hard, which is fine for the poem, but it wouldn't work to keep the momentum in a movie. So he gets home pretty fast.
Yeah, and this is meanwhile Telemachus, his son, has been fighting the suitors at home, trying to protect his father's world. Penelope has...
We didn't even talk about the suitors yet, Jordan. Who are the suitors?
Do we know, is it notable, like, who they are? Is it Agamemnon?
No! You son of a bitch! Agamemnon is dead at this point.
He's dead.
He went back home.
The actor had a gnarly beard. He looked similar to that other guy.
Now you're like, every guy who has a beard is the same person.
That's right. They're all the same.
You either have a vagina or a beard. You're one of two people.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, doesn't matter who the suitors are. There's a bunch of douchebags back home on Ithaca trying to get Penelope to choose one of them. They're busting up on all their stuff, drinking all their wine, eating all their food. Penelope's like, I'll make a tapestry, and like if Odysseus is not back by the time I'm done weaving this thing, then like I'll pick one of you guys. And Telemachus is like, no, mother, like, these guys suck. I'm going to go try and find my dad. And then he, like, takes the ship over to Sparta, and they're like, nah, dude, your dad's dead. Like, he would have been home by now. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I took this whole trip just to hear that. And then he goes back to Ithaca, and he's like, yeah, dad's dead. Is that a fair summation?
No, you totally failed on the last part. He doesn't do that last part.
Okay, he doesn't say dad's dead. He's like, but who knows? I couldn't find him, but, you know, maybe he's out there. Who knows?
No, this is what happens. So he gets sent to that island basically to keep him out of trouble. The suitors are very notable here. You've got Eric Roberts playing the lead suitor, Eurymachus. Eric Roberts is very memorable here.
Yeah. Out of all these, like, random bastards, he's the memorable one for sure.
There are a few that set themselves apart. I like in this movie that you have a lot of actors who feel regional or feel true, and then you have this random, like, Georgia dude, which he does fine. He doesn't have, like, a Georgia accent. I kind of like it makes him kind of like more of an other.
Yeah.
As Eurymachus. And Eric Roberts is like the more suave of the suitors. He seduces the stupid bitch Melanthe, who's one of, like, the serving women, which literally in the poem, Jordan, when Odysseus is disguised as the old man, the stupid Melanthe starts ragging on him, and he calls her a bitch in the poem. That's like 3,000 years old, Jordan.
He says bitch.
Yes, where there's, like, no other profanity in the Armitage version. He calls her a bitch, and she's, like, so taken aback. She has to leave. It's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, so she's basically like the spy that Eurymachus has. And she finds out the secret about Penelope has been sabotaging herself, so she'll never finish the job. You also have this other, like, big dude. I'll just call him big dude suitor, who's like a real asshole. And he's like Telemachus' nemesis. Like, he's always ragging on Telemachus, and he's way bigger than him. He's like this huge dude. So he's just, like, tormenting him all the time. And I really like all the Homeland stuff here, where Telemachus is like, I'm just like a teenager, and I hate these guys, and I miss my dad even though I've never met him, and all these guys suck, and they're trying to get with my mom and take my inheritance from me and take everything away from me, and I hate them, and I don't know. I dig all this stuff. I can connect to this.
There's good stuff there. And then he gets back from Sparta. He's got a little beard on his face, because we got to stick with the beard theme. He's got a little goatee. And that was part of her promise to Odysseus. Penelope said she would get with another dude by this point if their son had a beard on his face. So she's like, oh no, you got a little crustache growing there, bud.
Yeah.
I guess I got to pick a suitor.
Yeah. I like this little actor, Alan Stinson. Again, he doesn't have a Wikipedia entry either. Like, he's got to kind of play like awkward teenager who's growing up and having a rough time, but he's got to kind of be badass a little later, which I like him in this role.
Yeah, he's very, like, he's got the temperamental, like, teenager down pat, where he's just, like, really upset and, like, wants to get his anger out somehow. And eventually he does. He gets to spear a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, he wants to string his dad's bow before his dad gets home, and his mom's like, oh, you can't do that. Only your dad can. It's not your time to do stuff like that. With Telemachus, because right when he gets home, it's right after Odysseus has gotten home, and he's with, like, the lead sheep herder guy in the sheep hut. Telemachus gets back, and he hasn't gotten home yet, because the suitor said, we'll give him a ship to go look for his dad, but if he comes back, let's kill him. So he's got, like, that threat that he doesn't know about hanging over his head, and his dad just so happens to hear his voice, and he's like, who is that? And then they have a reunion. This is before he goes back to Penelope, which I think is perfect. I love this, where he's like, you're not my dad. Like, there's no way.
Not my dad. My dad's not a phone.
Man, this ain't my dad. This is a cell phone.
My dad's not an old man. Now, I will say we have to stop here, and, like, the movie does a really good job of just motivating you. Like, the whole time he's trying to get home, right? I mean, that's the story of just, like, this epic journey to get home, and he's setback after setback, and he finally gets home, and, like, it does, like, a really good job of, like, paying that off here, of just, like, his joy of finally reaching his destination, and then just, like, kind of taking in the land, and yeah, you're just, like, so relieved, you know, he survived all these things, he's finally home, but then here's this, like, one last hurdle. So that feels epic in a way where you're just like, you finally get home, now you got to deal with all this shit, you know?
Yeah. And I love how when he's on the ship being brought back to Ithaca, they drug him because they're like, he won't sleep. Like, by the time we get to Ithaca, he's going to be dead. So they drug him, and he wakes up on the beach. So it's a pretty cool moment there where he just wakes up back in Ithaca. Yeah, and he has the reunion with his son that at first is like, I don't believe you, but then like he realizes he is his dad, and they have this tearful reunion. And then Athena disguises him as an old man and is basically like, only Telemachus is going to be able to see through this disguise. And then he goes with Telemachus back to his house so he can see what's going on. And they've just ruined it. All these damn suitors. There's trash everywhere. There's animals running around. They've been eating all of Odysseus's animals from his farm. He gets to eat his cheese and he's all happy about that. But now he sees like what's going on and it's bad, but he's in disguise. And then you get, I didn't even talk about this guy. The other suitor that is notable is Fat Ass Jordan. That's what I've always called him.
Big guy and fat ass. He's like the bald fat ass dude with the jugglers.
Yeah, and he's like really rich. And he's like, I'll offer 1,000, but his voice is a little deeper than you would think. He's like, I've offered 1,000 sheep and cows. Ha, I'm the best. She should definitely choose me. And everyone is just laughing at him.
I will say the old man makeup here for Odysseus is like top notch. They did a good job making him look like this old raggedy beggar.
Oh yeah, definitely. It looks really good. And they naturally age Asante and Sachi throughout the movie. It's really subtle and it looks good. Because if you look at them at the beginning of the movie and then at the end, they look 20 years older.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like bad old person makeup. Yeah, they did a good job making it more subtle.
Yeah. Odysseus sees that Telemachus has a rivalry with Big Dude, and he's like, hey, there's going to be a time for you to be angry and kill Big Dude, but if you try to mess with Big Dude now, you're going to die. And Big Dude is like, hey, you got a beard now, let's fight, like for fun, like let's fight, come on. And Eric Roberts is all like, yeah, Telemachus, you can kill him now, but it's all part of his plan to kill Telemachus, and none of them know Odysseus is there. So he fights Big Dude and gets his ass beat. Like, he just gets beat down, Jordan.
Yeah. I do like that moment where he's like ready to try and kill him, and then the old man just like turns his back to everybody. He's like, no, not now.
Yeah, right. Because he told them, it's all right to be angry, but you need to be angry with the right person at the right time. Like, act on your anger at the right time. Like, be smart like me. Because, you know, like the wind god said about Odysseus earlier, Jordan, he's the only human who's ever used his brain. So Odysseus is way smarter than everybody.
He's the only one who has used his brain. Like, that's definitely true of him versus all his crewmates in the earlier part of the film, where they were just like a bunch of dumbass.
I like that in the poem, and you get it here, that he's just, he thinks more than everybody, because Athena even tells him before she disguises him, most people would have come to this island and then just haphazardly ran into their palace and gotten slaughtered immediately, and you didn't. You got here and stopped and said, how can I win? What do I need to do?
I do like that character trait, and they bring that out, multiple times for Odysseus, so that is really cool.
So you get the moment there where they chuck a table and it hits Odysseus in the back. And it's kind of badass how like a whole table breaks on his back and he's this old dude, but like it doesn't really affect him. I mean, he just turns around there and they're like, oh, whoa.
And they're just laughing at him like, oh, that kind of breaks the tension of the moment.
Yes. We're to the climax here where the way that the suitors are going to be weeded through and what someone is going to be chosen is they're all going to go in this room together. All these axe heads are upside down. And first you have to string Odysseus's bow. Then you have to shoot an arrow through all these axe heads that have been lined up. None of them can even string the bow. They're all struggling to string it and they can't do it. This is when Odysseus walks up, all badass, Jordan.
Well, he walks up as the old man. Strings the bow, and then like after I do like the effect of like after he shoots the arrow through the holes in the bottom of the axe handles and it hits the wall, then like you cut and you see him as his normal self in his like red tunic or whatever.
Yes. And this entire sequence, I'm just going to come out and say, is like one of my favorite sequences in anything ever. It's like, I've watched this so many times because I love when big guy can't string the bow. And Fat Ass has been like, that's not fair. I can't string a bow. I've never even touched a bow. I'm rich Fat Ass.
Yeah.
And then big guy can't do it. And he's like, if I can't do it, no living man can. And he chucks the bow and Odysseus grabs it and says, then what about a man who is dead?
Yeah. That's a pretty cool line.
Yes. And I love the shots here of him shooting the arrow through. Like, it's just so well edited and it looks so bad. Everything is badass from this moment on.
Everything is badass.
It's so good. He does this. He shoots it through. And then fat ass might be more harmless than the other ones. He might be like a defenseless fat ass. But you know what? Fat ass still gotta die, Jordan.
Yeah. Well, do you think the morality here is somewhat questionable? Like where Eric Roberts is
we're
like,
in territory that you and I always differ on, where I have the bloodlust, and I'm like, I want justice. They should all die. And you're like, well, I don't know.
well, I mean, like, part of me, obviously a big part of me is like, yeah, kill all these motherfuckers. But Eric Roberts kind of makes a good point of like, what have we done? You know, we've taken your food and your wine and like entertained your wife as suitors, you know, nothing that can't be undone. Like we could repay this. And like, I guess basically like, you know, we can settle up and like, no one has to die. And Odysseus is like, you tried to take my world. I'm going to kill all you motherfuckers.
No, this part's so awesome. So the first person to die is Big Dude. Odysseus is like, now. And then he grabs just gets to rage out. He grabs a spear and he lifts Big Dude up to the wall and rams the spear through him through the wall. It's pretty badass. And then, you know, they start killing people, including Fat Ass, which I love that he is shot out of frame. And it's like, oh man, I kind of wanted to see Fat Ass die. But then he stumbles back into the frame with blood gushing out his neck. And it's like, yeah.
I do like when Telemachus throws a spear at some dude and like the spear hits the dude and then he like gets pushed back like 6 feet.
It's two dudes. He throws 2 spears at once.
Yeah. And they both like fly back after they get hit. That was a pretty cool effect.
I think the writing here, and Asante, I've never been a huge Matt Damon fan. I do like him in the Bourne movies, but to me, like, I make the joke all the time, but in Team America, Matt Damon, like, that's Matt Damon to me.
Matt Damon.
I don't think he's hot shit. I don't know. I never have.
He's always just Goodwill Hunting in my brain. Like, he's always just like the smart aleck Boston guy who's like really good at math. I like Matt Damon though, overall.
That's cool. I don't think he could do what Armand Asante does here.
No, I can't see. Well, I don't know. I'll hold out and see what he does.
All right, maybe. But the pathos and like the amazing emotion whenever Eric Roberts says his piece where he's like, you don't need to do this to us. Like, what do we do? And the dialogue here is brilliant. I love this writing because I feel this. And especially Asante saying it, like there's so much emotion in his voice where he says,
the crime is that you tried to steal my world. The world I built with my hands and my sweat. Now, anyone and my blood. The world I shared with a woman who bore me my son. And no one will ever take that from me. Now you will die to a man in a river of blood.
In a river of blood. Jordan, that's so badass.
It is badass, but I'm also like, you little self-absorbed, you know, like.
What the fuck? Oh, give me a break.
I mean, Jordan. You know, emotions are raging. You know, we could have ended this a little bit more peacefully, but yeah, okay. Like,
no, they all had to die. They all had
to die.
Even Fat Ass, especially Fat Ass. And I love how the violence just gets more and more unhinged as it goes along. Like, you get the 2 servants outside guarding the door that are loyal to Odysseus who actually fight in the poem. But here they guard the door and they're like, hey, your masters aren't worth dying over to the servants of the suitors. And I love the spear just coming through the wall with blood all over it and blood like pouring out of the wall behind them.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. And everyone is just getting brutally murdered. Telemachus is just raging now. He's got a sword. He chops some dude's head off and blood sprays everywhere. Arrows are flying at everybody. And then the stupid bitch Melanthe.
I know you love this part.
Oh my gosh, Jordan. This is like one of my favorite things in any movie. In anything. Eric Roberts is calling out to her. And you've got the old like servant that helped raise Odysseus that's still alive and still there and like help raise Telemachus.
Like she just can't quite like get a hold of her, so gets away.
She's the only one who recognized Odysseus before because of a scar that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you were saying, she's trying to hold on to her and she can't because this is like a young, stupid bitch. I hate her so much. She just deserved to die just as bad as the suitors. She goes running to let stupid ass Eric Roberts out of the room, Jordan.
Yeah, he's calling for her to like let them out of this room because they're like locked in. And so as he's like escaping, as she opens the door, they both get arrowed.
Yeah, Odysseus is like, oh, hell no. And he lets off his best arrow shot because just as she opens the door and they run to embrace, he fires off an arrow that goes through his back, through his heart, and then through her chest and through her heart and out of her back. And they just collapse in a pool of blood on top of each other. Yes! Yes!
Yes!
God, it's so awesome.
Bloodlust, vengeance, justice.
It's so awesome, and it just, like I said, it's just been getting more and more unhinged. There literally is a river of blood running through the room, and then I haven't really talked about the music much, which the soundtrack for this was done, I believe, by another Ruski here. It was Eduard Artemiev, and it's been an interesting soundtrack. It's like, you get some traditional Greek instruments, you get a pretty love theme for Odysseus and Penelope, you get some funny synth stuff, some goofy synth stuff that sounds like Rugrats, like whenever the guy gets turned into a pig, which again, I like the animatronic pig that talks.
Some sax
later.
on the beach.
Yeah, some sax on the beach. And then, no, they don't do that.
Well, I mean, Penelope does that, but.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. And I love here, it sounds like someone has taken like a lyre and broken the string and is playing it with like a bone saw. It's just like, and the camera just is like voyeuristic. It's like, this was so unhinged and so violent. Now I can only watch it from outside of the room. And you just see Odysseus standing there with like his head down, like, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I killed you to a man and the room is running with a river of blood. And then you see Telemachus and he's like, oh shit. And he's just sobbing as the first guy that he killed, the big guy, is in the background.
Yeah, because they just killed all these people. He's like, wait, what did we do?
He's like, I'm barely old enough to have a beard. And he's sobbing. And Odysseus is like,
don't let your mother see this. Yeah,
he's like, don't let your mom see this. He says, don't let your mother's eyes fall in this room. When it is clean, you tell her I'm home. And then, like, you know, his son's crying and he hasn't been around a long time with him, but he's a good dad. So he hugs his son, you know, to comfort him as the camera is from outside the door, just like panning over all the carnage. It's so much carnage. I just love it, Jordan.
We did skip over the part where he's holding back. I guess part of him dressing up as the old man is like making sure, again, the line is said, you want to make sure that your wife has been true.
Yes, and I think he says, I want to make sure that her heart still belongs to me.
Which it does. Like, yeah, she's waited patiently for Odysseus all this time while he's been banging all the goddesses.
Because neither one of them is like, hey, you didn't bang anybody else in the last 20 years. Like, he just wants to hear her say, like, he goes to her as the old man and talks to her about Odysseus, and he hears from her own lips that, like, she still cares about him and she'd rather him be back than her be with any of the suitors. And he's like, okay, she still loves me, which is what he cared about. So I love the cut here to the sun setting on Ithaca. You get these beautiful shots of the countryside and then just her footsteps. Like, she's heard he's back and she's just running. And Jordan, this is the part where you should have been like, well, wait, the mom is dead. Why is Isabella Rosalina here? Because Athena is there, which I feel like every time she appears, it's awesome. She's like this beautiful spectral figure that I feel like she is Athena. Like, she embodies that role perfectly. She's holding the helmet like in all the paintings and statues, but she's there and she just smiles at her. I like that little touch. And then she passes her by. She goes to the bedroom that like the tree is in. Like, they built, basically Odysseus has hand built all of this and he's built their bed like around this tree that's in the center of their bedroom, and they reunite.
Yeah, that was a cool touch.
Yeah.
With the tree.
Yes, with the tree.
Reunited and it feels so good. And then they have that needle drop there where that song comes on and you're like, whoa, that's weird. That's kind of out of place, but all right.
They don't do that at all. There's nothing contemporary in this movie at all. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Then they reunite, they embrace.
Yeah, it's a little uncertain at first, and then she kind of faints, and then he holds her. It's a great little scene. I like it. I think it's really well done. I like how she comments on her appearance and says, I must look so old to you now. And he's like, no, you're the same. And then she says, "You're still a liar, Odysseus." And he says, "It was only one day." And then she says, "And then in one day you've seen all the world." And then more good dialogue, Jordan. He says,
Yes. And there's much that is sacred and beautiful. But nothing as beautiful as a man's own world that he could take in his hands. And know will always be his.
hands. And we skipped over the part right before he gets home where he's shipwrecked again, and he has a very violent conversation with Poseidon, where Poseidon's like, "Did you learn your lesson yet? Like, you can't defy the gods. Like, you need the gods. We've been helping you this whole time."
Oh yeah, we skipped over the whole like arc that he takes where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a man."
Right, yeah. He says, like, he realized, like, I'm just a man in the world. I might be, like, a badass, but I'm not the shit. Like, I'm not the end-all, be-all. Like, I'm nothing without the gods. Yeah, that's, like, the message, and then it comes back here, where it's like, I'm just a man in the world, and, like, this is my world, and I've come back to it, and then that's it, Jordan. I love it.
I'm so glad you find so much joy in this, and you appreciate it on, like, probably a level beyond most people. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. I probably won't watch this again, honestly, but I'm not sad that I did. It's like an interesting piece of cinema history that I did not know existed. And yeah, and I feel like I know the story of Odysseus better than ever. So it taught me that. It taught me that you can just like find some goddesses to bang on islands and then, you know, eventually make it home to your wife that you've longed for. And, you know, protect your one-eyed monster.
You know what, Jordan? He has to kill the one-eyed monster.
That's right. That should have been... never mind.
You didn't learn your lesson. And that's why you're engaged now, and I'm single.
He didn't learn his lesson there to put the one-eyed monster away.
I love this. This is a fabric of my being. A few years ago, we covered Clear and Present Danger. The whole aesthetic of that is like a fiber of who I am as a person. And I feel like the Odyssey is too. Like for me, the safety and comfort of the 90s is embodied in this film for me. I love 1997's The Odyssey. I was going to give this a 9 the first 2 times I watched it. That's stupid. This is very biased, but I didn't watch this for like 20 years, like the whole time I was married. And coming back to it now, I was worried I wasn't going to like it. And I loved it. It's a 10 for me, Jordan. It's a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
And damn. I don't care what anyone says.
This does feel so much like a Nick pick. There's certain things that like only you will ever pick on this podcast. And I'm sure there's some things that maybe only I would pick, but
yeah, we just covered Mannequin 2. I would have never picked that.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. This is like your Mannequin 2.
Yeah, they're exactly the same, Jordan. The Odyssey and Mannequin 2.
That's right. I mean, let's see. Let's movie connection time. Let's compare and contrast. Well, we have some time traveling, not time traveling, but we have time period stuff going on here. Between the medieval and the ancient Egyptian in the first Mannequin. Then you've got some ancient Greece here. They both have some campy, you know, ridiculous over the top elements. Yeah.
Yeah. Doug made a comment in the Mannequin 2 part of the episode when I was disparaging there being a Viking helmet in the opening scene. He was like, "No, I bet that dude like killed a Viking at some point and said, I'm keeping this." You know, that means the Vikings sailed across the seas to that country and then was brutally murdered, just like a lot of the Greeks were by the Trojans and the Trojan War that opens this up. So,
you know, we have a man and a woman in love with each other. One version is a mannequin, but another version is a lady who likes to get sexy with the sea. So they're like the same.
Basically identical. I didn't really get that scene, you know, when I was like 15 or 16, but I got it this time. It's like, man,
I'm still working on it. I don't think I got it yet.
I like that sex scene from The Rock. Do you want to give a score for this? Would you venture to do that?
Yeah, I would give this like a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, so you gave it a higher score than Hercules and the Amazon Women. So
yeah, I had to because I knew you were going to shit on me and be like, "What? If I gave this a 3, you'd be like, how dare you?
Do you want to give it a 3?
The same score as Hercules and them. You know what? I think on a pure entertainment level, I probably enjoyed Hercules better.
Because it's trash. I figured you would.
Because it's trash.
And because I know at this point that you like trash, I'm not going to treat you like one of the suitors right now. I'm just gonna say
and
that's,
spear me to the wall.
yeah, that was expected. I was expecting you to say that.
No, I mean, on a more objective production quality level, yeah, this is far and away better than Hercules. I feel like in a few years' time, maybe I could sit down again and watch Hercules and the Amazon Women. I don't know if I would take this journey again with Odyssey. It's kind of one of those, like, I'm one and done. Or maybe, like, in 30 years, Nick wants to rewatch it for this podcast. Maybe I'll do that again.
Yeah, I'll make you watch it again when we're in our 70s.
Be as old as Isabella Rossellini was in this movie.
Boy, she looks gorgeous too. That's hilarious that you thought like she was 70 years old. She looks like she's in her early 40s, and she looks very beautiful. She looks like a goddess. So
it's just the lady who played the mom was like so Italian looking that I was like, oh,
she's
that must
Greek.
be.
This is Greek. Jordan, you keep
Okay.
saying Italian. This is Greek.
Wow.
And she's a Greek
She
actress.
still looked Italian.
I mean, her last name is Pappas. Come on.
Okay. All right, sir. Well, are you ready for the trivia battle?
Pop quiz, asshole.
Yes, I am ready, Jordan. I made a very brief connection earlier in the movie about Nicholas Clay, and I just decided, why don't I just ask a bunch of questions about John Boorman? Because Excalibur is one of my favorite all-time movies. That's a 10 out of 10 movie for me that, I don't know, you'd maybe give a 6 out of 10 to.
I have still never seen Excalibur.
Yeah, you know, it has all the things I like, and in fact,
It does. It feels like a very Nick movie.
Yeah, and it ends on a similar note to this in a way, except exactly the opposite at the very end, as this does. Yeah, that's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love Excalibur, and all my questions are based around John Boorman. Did you write some questions?
All right, so I do have some things to talk about here.
You didn't say you wrote some questions. You said you had some things to talk about.
All right, so I'm going to play a game here for my questions, and it's going to be Sorbo versus Sorbro.
What does that mean?
So I'm going to give you some quotes, and you've got to guess, was this something that Kevin Sorbo said, or was this just something a different Sorbro said?
What's a Sorbro?
Like a dude who's like a bro who's like, oh, bruh.
Like me.
Like, I'm so sore, bro. Like, I ran all day and now my calves are hurting.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, like you.
Perfect. Okay.
It's just salty quotes. Quotes from salty bros. And it could be Sorbo or it could just be a sore bro.
I feel like when you do things like this, I get them all wrong and get mad at you. So that's awesome. Because it's your pick next time. So, you know, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't know what you're going to pick either. It feels like a revenge pick is coming up next. So. All our listeners who are so psyched about The Matrix and Scream and Terminator 2, and then we're like, seriously, Mannequin 2? And then they're like, seriously, The Odyssey from 1997 that aired on NBC? I don't even want to know what's next, but I do want to know.
I feel like we're going to slightly drift back into normal waters.
Gotcha.
How about that?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, what's your first question?
First, what is the first film that John Boorman directed? Was it Catch Us If You Can, Point Blank, Hell in the Pacific, or Roughshod? This is like my hardest question, probably.
Was it Roughshod?
I made up Roughshod. It was Catch Us If You Can.
Ah, damn.
It's all good.
I do really like Point Blank. I knew that probably wasn't his first film, but
that was his second film, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I do like that film a lot. All right, so is this Sorbro or is this just a sore bro? All right, quote, you know what? It happened for the right reason. Although I would have made a good Clark Kent. I look better in glasses.
Does Sorbo say that in reference to Dean Cain and him both being up for Superman? Or did a Sorbro say that?
What are you guessing?
I'm just going to guess Sorbo.
All right, it was Sorbo on losing the opportunity to star in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Yeah. Dean Cain was a pretty good Superman. I feel like he looks like more of like an everyman, which I know Superman is like the most powerful superhero, but you don't quite want him to look like Hercules. So I feel like that was the right decision there.
But this was Sorbo just also being a sore bro. So
both would have been acceptable.
Both would have been acceptable.
All right. In 1968's Hell in the Pacific, one of the stars was Lee Marvin. The other was which Japanese actor?
Toshiro Mifune.
Correctamundo.
I know you love that movie. We've talked about it here and there. A
Yes.
Lovely Marvin, again, Point Blank being a favorite.
Yes.
Just started to try and watch The Dirty Dozen for the first time the other day, and I haven't made it through that yet, but I dig his stuff.
He could act. All right, let's go.
All right, next, Sorbo versus Sorbro. All right, quote, "It doesn't matter how successful you are in this business, it's tough to get through the next door."
Is that Sorbo again?
That's Sorbo again? You got it.
Yeah. All right. In 1972's Deliverance, John Voight, and I'm naming the buddies here. You know, we have 4 buddies at the center of Deliverance. John Voight played Ed Gentry, Burt Reynolds played Lewis Medlock, and Ned Beatty played Bobby Tripp. But who played the 4th friend, Drew? Was it John Saxon, Joseph Campanella, Ronnie Cox, or Robert Vaughn?
I have no idea. C.
Correct. It was Ronnie Cox. Great guess.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's a random guess, but
Love Deliverance too.
yeah, it's a good one. Next quote, Sorbo versus Sorbro. "Hollywood likes to put out their own message a lot of the times, and that message isn't the best one for everyone."
Oh, that's Sorbo for sure.
Yeah, that is Sorbo.
Right
He's probably in his God is not dead phase there.
That's right. He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Just like in Sword Eyes, Jordan. Well, not God. Just there's something that roars like a lion in Sword Eyes. Sword Eyes, we watched that together. You remember
That's
that?
right.
On your birthday.
That's one of the Borman misses? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would call it a miss. It's just like a strange ass film.
It's weird. It's a weird one. I don't know. It's like, it's an LSD trip of a movie. For sure.
Sean Connery and his like ponytail and his leotard get up, whatever that thing he was wearing.
That was something. That whole movie is something. Like that's got to be top 5 trippiest movies I've ever seen. Jordan, who played Consuela, the central female and eventual love interest of Connery in that film? So Consuela was like the main character besides Connery's character. Was it A, Charlotte Rampling, B, Estelle Getty, C, Beatrice Straight, or D, Carmen Miranda?
It was Charlotte Rampling.
That is correct.
She did a good job in that. Getting naked.
I feel like a lot of people did.
All right.
I think I won since we're doing 2 out of 3 and I've got 3 of yours in the first 3 and you got 2 out of 3, but I know you're going to get my last question right. I have a lot of faith in you, so.
All right. Well, yeah, and I want to give you this last one here just for fun. All right, quote, "The problem with capitalism is that there's so much prosperity and free time, people start creating their own problems."
Oh man, did Sorbo say something negative about capitalism? That sounds like a sore bro, but then it would be something if every single one of these was for Sorbo, which I think Sorbo probably did say that, but just because I haven't said sore bro once and I want to, I'm going to say sore bro.
It was Sorbo.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. Which is like, yeah, that's like a weird ass quote. Yeah, like that's why I wanted to throw it in and be like, that doesn't sound like Kevin Sorbo said this, but
that's not the Sorbo I know.
That's not the Sorbo. But I also like have had these same conversations with Michelle about my kids where like, we live in this capitalist society where like there's just too much prosperity and free time. Like kids are complaining about being bored and like not having anything to do. I'm like, you need to go work on a fucking farm. you got like too much free time. You get creating your own problems.
Yeah, as someone who grew up on a farm, I can't identify with that at all. I would love more prosperity and free time. That would be awesome. If you figure out a way for me to get those things, just let me know.
Okay.
I feel like you have a better chance of answering this question right than you do doing that though. The question is, Excalibur, A, yes, B, no, C, maybe, or D, yes, without a doubt in any way.
No, yes, without a doubt in any way.
Yeah, that is correct, Jordan. Nice job.
Meaning 10 out of 10, awesome movie?
Yeah, I think we tied, which is great. You know, you're going into your pick here, so I didn't want you to be humiliated.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I even tanked the last question for you to even it up there. Just for you, my friend.
Damn you. Feigning your ignorance when you knew it was Sorbo the whole time. Doing this all the time on the trivia battle just to like make me feel better about myself.
For a little while, at least.
For a little while. All right, well, let's talk about our punishment film, I guess, first for next time. So, like I've been choosing this whole year, going back through 1991, picking mostly only 1991 films. And there's one film that I was watching some VHS and we saw the trailer for it and I was like, oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that film, and it might be god awful and obnoxious, but I looked over on my shelf and I was like, oh, I actually own that. I forgot I have that. And that would be the movie Drop Dead Fred with Phoebe Cates.
Drop Dead Fred. I haven't seen this in such a long time. This was like a satellite dish movie.
I know you're a fan of Phoebe Cates.
Who is it?
Who is it? And so, we have a character in that movie.
Freaking Kevin Kline, that son of a bitch. Sorry.
We have a character having hallucinations, I guess you might say, or an imaginary friend from her childhood shows up and question her sanity, perhaps. And so it's going to tie nicely to our main film that I'm picking that's also from 1991. And that would be Terry Gilliam's The Fisher King with Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams.
Is this our first Gilliam?
I think it is.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, because what else did he do in the 90s?
12 Monkeys, Jordan.
12 Monkeys, yeah, which is like a classic 90s. I feel like we've got to cover that at some point.
I had a poster on my wall for 12 Monkeys. I still have that poster. I found it at my parents' house last year. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he did another little film called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think you may have heard of that one.
That's a big one. Yeah. That's like the trifecta. I feel like he was like on a really strong run there. We'll get into it. And then at some point just kind of lost his bearings. But yeah, I feel like The Fisher King, a solid entry. Haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm interested to go back to it. And of course we have Robin Williams, who's a homeless man, and he's hallucinating about a red knight coming after him to get him. And so I feel like, okay, this will tie nicely into our imaginary friends in Drop Dead Fred.
The crazy thing is, I've seen Drop Dead Fred. This is a huge blind spot for me, Jordan. I've never seen The Fisher King. It's been on my list forever, and I just have never gotten to it.
Okay. And this was not one you were going to probably pick?
No, I was not even on my radar. So I'm unlike the Mannequin 2 pick. I am really excited about this one, Jordan.
Sweet. Yeah. I always love that when there's like a blind spot either one of us have, and then, yeah, you get to watch something because of the podcast for that reason.
Yeah, like 1997's The Odyssey, Jordan. You never even heard of it.
I never would have watched this. But yeah, and maybe you would have never watched The Fisher King, but you should.
You got to watch a woman have sex with the entire ocean, and I hope I get to see something like that in The Fisher King.
I can't make any promises. I don't think it gets that weird, but it is Terry Gilliam, so
it is.
We shall see.
Rad.
Sweet. Well, looking forward to that. So next episode being Drop Dead Fred and The Fisher King, both from 1991. Hope you guys will watch along with us and stay tuned for the next episode. Appreciate you guys listening. As always, you can shoot us an email at filmshakepodcast@gmail.com and find us out there on the social media. Give us a shout out, share the show, rate the show on your favorite podcast app, whatever you want to do to help us out. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time for more Filmshake.
Take it easy.
Checking the check.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha.
That's a good one.
That's a good Hercules. Ha ha.